Hello, Phil here from Authentic Vocal and welcome to another video. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe. I hope you enjoy the fully authentic vocals that we're just about to listen to and that you enjoy the analysis as well. So, on the agenda tonight, we are going to be taking a look at Rush, and over the last probably few weeks or maybe a couple of months, I've had a lot of requests to take a look at this, and this is their performance at the Juno Awards, and that was this year, 2026, and they're performing Finding My Way, and of course it has Annika Niles on drums. But we will jump into this. As always, the link to the original video can be found in the description below if you want to listen to it the whole way through without me interrupting it, and if you want to cross-reference anything. But I'm just going to take it back to the beginning and we'll have a listen to it just with everything in the mix. And straight away, I mean, you can tell that Geddy Lee's vocal is entirely live, and it's just his voice, which is, I was going to say it's surprising, but I'm so used to hearing post-processed vocals and, you know, sometimes even auto-tune live with some bands, but Rush, I mean, this is great because if there were a band that I would maybe even expect to be doing it fully live and fully unedited, and even fully unedited from a post-performance perspective, it would probably be Rush. So when listening to this performance, it's an immediate, you know, I don't know, it's an immediate feeling of being at ease, that you think, okay, this is going to be just a live performance. This is what it used to be like when bands would go on stage and just perform, and it was just their sound. Yeah, this is really cool. What I'm going to do is bring on screen the vocal lines, the pitch lines of Geddy Lee on screen on the graph of A440 standard pitch equal temperament. And this is what his voice looks like. I mean, and it couldn't be more different to what I would class as the standard or the industry standard vocal that you'll hear in 2026, where we will absolutely be calibrated to these horizontal lines. And it's great to see the amount of flow that we get in the vocal. And it's almost like when we're looking through, as I've said in many videos, the anomaly of the natural human voice is when it does just happen to fall on A440. And that is literally on A4. So that is A440. But all of the time, or I say the majority of the time, we're not going to be falling on lines. We'll always get this kind of flow of being between here, and slightly flat here, and then going up through the line here, being between notes here. So yeah, between notes here, coming down slightly sharp. So we always get this variation, but yeah, it's so cool to see. And to hear just a live vocal. Now, I know that if I play lots of it, then we're going to have issues with copyright and the video might get blocked. So what I'll do is I'm just going to take out the instrumentation to have a listen to Geddy Lee's voice and have a listen to the flow that we get here.
I'm coming out to get you. Who's there? I'm coming out to find you. Ooh yeah, ooh yeah. Shining my way. My fingers so low. I lost gathered the years when I sang some sad songs. Oh, it's brought some bad news. Look out, I'm coming. Whoa, whoa, look out, I'm coming.
So yeah, I mean, Geddy Lee has always had a unique sound to his vocal, and I think if you were to tune this, obviously you'd lose a lot of that personality, and he's got such flow to his voice that it might be one of those voices that is really difficult to tune because of the pitch that he covers and the way that tuning, especially auto-tune, works. It wants to snap the signal to finite values, and when you're covering this much pitch as we are here, have a look at, you know, the C5, and by the way, this is the A5 up here is going to be a harmonic that gets picked up, but here the flow that we get of 1, 2, 3, 4 semitones, actually more than that, it means that within this journey, the tuning would want to be snapping things, and it would start to sound really weird. So, I mean, even going through this manually with, you know, Melodyne and trying to edit things, it's going to take a hell of a long time because of the flow to the vocal. So, yeah, I am all for this, just having a live vocal. And I'm sure that people that might be really used to hearing tuned vocals and they don't realise that everything that they're hearing is tuned, they might listen to this and think, oh, I'm not used to this sound, so therefore I don't know where to place it. And I think a lot of people that are used to tune vocals will think, oh, well, what's going on with this vocal? It's not accurate enough. But the reason that it's not calibrated, or it doesn't sound mechanical, is because it is a natural voice. Let's just listen to it again. Of course, the other thing that you get with Rush is just technical ability, and you know that's going to go, of course, for Annika Niles having to try and play in that same place that Neil Peart did. And the thing about Neil is, there's never going to be a replacement for him, but just somebody who is playing their way, but also just, you know, respecting the songs. I think that's certainly something that Annika does, and I think it's a really good match to have her, you know, behind the kit. And certainly the sound is great as well, you know, tight and everything kind of where you expect it to be. But let me just move it on a little bit. We'll listen to a bit more. I'm coming back to the park. I mean, that is what's so cool, is when we just get into that straight ahead, just as tight as you can ever get for a band, and listening to Geddy's bass and the groove that we've got in there. But it is so much more when you listen to great instrumentalists. They can be playing something that sounds relatively simple, but there's a feel and there's a groove in there. And especially with, Alex, Geddy and Annika playing together, they are just so tight and so on the same page and in the pocket, as we say. And the great thing is that, if you've got a sub, then you can turn that up to 11 and hear Geddy's bass. The runs that are going on, he's playing and singing at the same time, something that I haven't mentioned, but that'll fly under your radar because you're listening to a band here that are so tight and so on the same page that you could be mistaken for just instrumentalists with a singer at the front of the stage, and the instrumentalists can concentrate on what they're doing. But Geddy playing, singing at the same time, absolutely just on the ball the whole time. And yeah, when you do dive into this performance, so much of it is about the feel and the groove and just the way that it sounds. And I think when you go back to listening to something like this is what music is when you're not worried about what people think about it. Because when you're playing live, and say for example that, you know, there is a lot of attention being paid to how it sounds, to the point where, you know, some bands and artists may think, oh, well, I want my vocal to be tuned, or I want the performance to be, you know, post-edited, and we'll change some things that happened. When you start doing that and removing things from a live performance, you're removing the essence of what it was at the time, the feel and the groove that was happening, and the energy. You're taking bits of energy out of the performance and then replacing it with something that's sterile, especially when you're talking about a tuned vocal where it's calibrated to a graph. It will start to sound like that. And whenever you're listening to something that's been heavily manipulated, even if you can't really tell, I think it's something that will affect you in your energy, how you feel about the performance. And watching something like this, for, you know, music lovers and especially Rush fans, I guarantee you they cannot wait to go and watch Rush live again. And yeah, they're going to be touring in 2027, so this is just the perfect advert for it, because you're going to get a fully live show and they're just going to do what Rush do, and they're not, you know, concerned or, you know, preoccupied with how it's going to sound, that, you know, oh, it's got to be absolutely perfect and we've got to be hitting lines of A440. They're just going to do what they do. And yeah, there might be a section of the audience, and maybe the younger generation, who don't understand what this is, because they haven't heard live vocals, like truly live vocals before, in a live performance video like this, especially, like I said, on TV, where things can be heavily edited, and sometimes, you know, it might not even be a live vocal. It might be something that's just lip synced or mimed to the studio version of the song. But this absolutely is not that. This is entirely live, and so refreshing to take a listen to. If you're tired of not knowing what's real, what's lip synced or mimed, auto-tuned or post-pitch corrected, then join myself and other like-minded music fans at patreon.com/authentic vocal. This is the home of the movement for a more open, transparent and honest music industry, and I'll see you there. I'm sure that a lot of Rush fans weren't sure whether they'd ever be able to see Rush again live on stage, but I'm sure that they are now very much looking forward to 2027, and this is just a taster of what you'll get. So there we have it. Thank you guys for watching this vocal analysis video. I hope you have enjoyed it. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe, and I'll catch you guys at the next one.